Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 14th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see Washington, Oregon. There's the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. This storm system here will set up shop off the coast of California, and then it'll eventually fill and move back up over the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to be our next fairly decent precipitation maker. We'll look at some of those details here as we go through the video here today. Then we'll take a look at the extended forecast. Looks like a very strong jet stream will be moving across Pacific Ocean as we move through the later portions of December. So some place across the west coast of North America is going to be very favored for some stormy weather here. And that's the details we'll be looking at here over the next few days and trying to figure things out. This is that frontal system that moved through last night. Some residual showers still ongoing out there. And then we've got this weak impulse kind of moving up across the region, mainly targeting BC, Vancouver Island, maybe with some moderate rainfall. But then we get a break here before the next system that's going to be impacting California fills and moves across Pacific Northwest. Now, taking a look at 80-meter wind speeds, we've had some of these gusty east winds here, and that kind of relaxes here with that frontal system. But then as the storm system sets up off California, you can see kind of the easterly component again emerging across some of the Cascades there of Washington, Oregon, remaining gusty as we go through the day tomorrow. Now we're going on into Friday night, continuing with that east component there as that low pressure system moves up the coastline. But you can see that offshore wind component continue all the way on in through Saturday afternoon, including across some of the coastal areas as that storm approaches. Now, looking at last night's European run here, you can see the storm developing off the coast of California here. There's our weak frontal system that moved through. Now we're playing it ahead here until tonight. You can see that impulse mainly impacting western BC, Vancouver Island with some moderate heavy precipitation maybe at times up north of Vancouver Island. And then the next system here is spinning off the coast of California. The westerlies try to grab this a bit and push it up over the Pacific Northwest. And some of the models have been trending a little bit wetter with this system as well. So we'll look at some of those details here coming up in a moment. And then the next storm system kind of targets California, and we get a bit of a break after that. But then things may get active again here for the Pacific Northwest. This is yesterday afternoon's European run here. So there goes the storm for California. Fills, lifts across the area, brings a round of precipitation there. Next storm kind of targets California there. Weak frontal system for next weekend, but that is subject to change. And then we start to get things cranking a bit more here across Pacific Northwest. You can see some systems taking shots at the region here. Some interesting low pressure systems moving through the area. But the GFS does not fully agree with this here. So we have a lot to work out as we go on through the next week or so. This is Hoquiam on the Washington coastline. This is last night's frontal system here. And you can see how the next one with that low moving up over the area is a bit wetter here. And you can see some of these ensembles have over an inch in a 24-hour period. This is Spokane. Definitely the next system probably going to be wetter here. As you can see, pretty pathetic showing for that frontal system for places east of the Cascades. This is Seattle, Tacoma. Last night's frontal system here. The next one should be wetter. And then you can see some of these storms. Some of them could be quite potent here as we go through the later portion of December. But lots to work out with those details yet. This is the next system for Seattle. Right now showing 0.8 of an inch of rain. Not a bad 24-hour total, and some of the ensemble members have higher amounts. And then you can see some more potent storms out towards the end of December on the European as well. Fantasy windstorm hunt still showing some bigger windstorms intermixed in here. We'll continue to watch that as we go, but we have plenty of time to look at it. As you can see, we're not looking at any of those big windstorms until maybe around the Christmas or later time frame. So this is hot off the presses, the GFS 12Z. You've got Alaska, you got Washington here. We're looking at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet in the atmosphere. There goes our weak frontal system there. Storm system dives down in California, and then you can see it fill and move north across Pacific Northwest. This storm has more of its eyes on California, as you can see, and we get a bit of a break there. But then maybe a system trying to slide through as we go through Friday or the weekend coming up. Another ridge tries to build as the Gulf of Alaska trough gets going. But you can see very powerful jet stream will have some very active weather across the Gulf of Alaska, potentially taking its shots at the Pacific Northwest at times as we go through the end of December here. Now, taking a look at the jet stream, we're looking across the northern Pacific Ocean. There's Japan, there's Alaska, there's Hawaii, and there's Washington. So as you guys know, I like to show you what's going on in a wider view of things here. There's the initial storm that'll ride back up over the Pacific Northwest. Next storm has its eyes on California there. And then maybe as we go through the weekend, a weak frontal system moves through here. But look at this jet stream just absolutely ripping across the Pacific Ocean here. And so we are definitely going to be targeted somewhere along the West Coast, California potentially. eventually Pacific Northwest, strong Gulf of Alaska low, just absolutely churning here as this jet stream just comes flying across the Pacific Ocean as we go through December. Now, if we look at the 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook here, maybe just because we're in a southwest flow here, so keeping some of that warmer air into the region all the way through the later Christmas period here. But the 6 to 10 day, I can understand seeing some of this around here. But as we go the 8 to 14 day, I'm not too sure about this. This could easily change over the next few days. So I would definitely take these extended forecasts with a grain of salt, because that Gulf of Alaska low could be really driving some storms through the region. And same thing here. I don't agree with this. They probably should have just left the slight risk up for this time frame up and down the West Coast, because some of those storms could easily be pointed at the Pacific Northwest. Same thing with this. They probably should have just left it up for the Washington coast. And the risk of heavy snow, there's definitely going to be the risk for some of that across the higher terrain of BC and Washington, Oregon as well. And they kind of looks like they're hyper focused maybe on some of the Intermountain West here and some of California, as it looks like it's going to remain active for them also. Now, looking at the drought monitor, you can see we have improved across Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, but there still is some drought concern out there, and I'll show you why that is as we look at the precipitation departure from average. This is the last 12 months, and check it out across the Cascades of Washington and Oregon. Pretty notable deficit here across some of the region, even though we've had pretty rainy periods at times. We actually finished November below average here, but we're going to be above average for December. We're still running a pretty good deficit here, especially Western Washington and Oregon, some of the Idaho Panhandle, Northwest Montana as well. And then the last 6 months, you can still see that precipitation departure from average, even though some areas are significantly above precipitation normals for that 6-month period. And this is just the last month. So even with that atmospheric river, some of Skagit, Whatcom County is still running that deficit. Same thing for some of the Olympic Peninsula and even Western Oregon as well. So it's not, the drought monitor is not just making things up here. We are running a deficit here over the long term across a lot of the areas. So yeah, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking and kind of looking into the drought monitor anyway. But we have a lot to look at here over the next week or so, guys, because things are going to get cranking. That jet stream means business. It's been showing up for several days now, and it's very high confidence it's going to be coming across the ocean here north of Hawaii, and it pointed at the Pacific Northwest or California or maybe much of the West Coast here. So we'll just have to see and wait and break things down and try to get some consistency between the models and see what's coming. But anyway, we'll do this again tomorrow as always. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you guys then.